Hello, hello.
Hello.
How are you?
All right, and yourself?
Good. So it is 8:58 and we are starting at our time on 9 o'clock. So we're looking forward to that. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourself?
All right. And real quick, since it is January, how is the weather in Houston?
Well, I'm in San Antonio,
Oh,
but as
yes,
you see,
San
I got the,
Antonio.
I got the
Yes.
sweater on today, so
Hmm.
it's chilly. It's chilly, but it's supposed to be
Okay.
warming up today, but then it drops again.
Yeah, because you see, I'm t-shirts, so this is that,
I've seen
Rwanda life.
it.
And
The good life.
I'm going to sit here and say this now too. Still trying to navigate, but for anyone who is coming on, this is going to be recorded. So if you want to keep your video off, that is not a problem. But I am definitely recording this, possibly to upload. But other people wanted to be able to say, "Hey, what's going on. I want to kind of know that information." And so that's it. Is there anybody who wants to say hello? Or are you going to be like, no, I'm just kind of sitting in the cut and seeing how this conversation goes?
I started to sit in the cut, but I said I'll jump on and just say hello. Since you made it so personal, that
You
that was
know, so, and Antonio,
actually I will take Anthony.
okay.
My mom wanted to be a little different and drop the Y and put an I, so I just run with it with that. But I am called Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
and Tony works as well.
All right. And so you're actually with Panther. You are the new addition.
I am the new addition to the
What?
family.
Cool it
Yes, yes.
now. Okay. And what do you actually specialize in?
Specialize. Well, I can say I have my degree in accounting. So I work on the accounting,
Mhm.
bookkeeping side, working with a little bit on the tax preparation side, and we're also doing tax planning.
Okay.
So any of those pieces, I'm not going to say I'm an expert because there's always something to learn every day because everybody's situation is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I will just say I will share the knowledge that I've gained over the last 25, 30 years on the accounting side and bookkeeping. So
Okay. So since it's 9 o'clock, I do expect a couple more people to come in, but I am going to go ahead and have this thing hosted as if we're in full swing. And I don't care if it's one person here. I don't care if it's 17 people here. I don't care if it's 700 people here, baby. We're going to still have the conversations that absolutely matter. I do see one other person, excuse me. Do you want to say hello before we officially start, Troy, or you're good? All right, so I'm going to take that muted mic as you're good because that's how I am in my meetings. And I'm going to sit here and say, everyone, for those who are going to tune in later, hi, I'm Jay Essence, and I'm so happy to meet everyone. And one of the key things I really wanted to make sure that happens is even though we are moving or have moved overseas, we have to understand as long as we carry our blue passport, we are officially a U.S. Citizens. And so we do have to be cautious of IRS tax expectations and all those things. And you are required to file no matter what. And so while I'm saying that, I'm actually going to bring in Panther Financial Services to help talk us through some of the things that we definitely need to know and should know regarding this. So just help me out real quick before we get into all these new things. Are you required to file when you're living abroad? You're also required to unmute your mic.
Yes,
There we go.
that's what I
Okay.
was trying
Okay.
to do. Yes, you are required to still file.
Okay.
The IRS still requires you to do that. It should be done yearly.
Mhm.
I know some people don't do it yearly; they wait,
Mm.
but they still want you to file.
Okay.
Answer that. Yeah.
So I'm going to dig in, and what I'm going to dig in on is, first of all, before we talk about some of the generic things, which is like, yes, of course, we have to file. We had alluded to at one of our personal conversations changes this year. And I can tell you one of the ones that I got hit with really bad, so people get to know my business, is the expectation for you to claim like your PayPal, your Cash App, it's like 5 different areas. And if you receive transactions over 600, those now must be part of the filing system. Is that correct?
Yes. So actually, I think it's 400. It's either 300 or 400, I think. If you receive that. This is for businesses,
Okay.
not for personal.
So that's one thing that could be a big difference. If my PayPal was underneath my personal information and did not ever register as a business, that would not be touched.
So that's 2 things right there.
Okay.
If you're running a business, so are you talking about business or are you talking about someone personal who's just overseas? Or hey Robert, I'm short $300. Can you cash act me $300? Mama, I need $300.
Okay. So if that case, that's personal. So that does not. Okay. Now, if it was for business, because I'll tell you in my unique situation is that I started business a long time ago. So I just put PayPal underneath the business name. So even though I have received things personally, it technically, and there we go. Go ahead and tell me what that head nod means.
So if it's business, it's business. If you have money going into your business account, you need to be able to account for it as business. Okay. Same thing, money coming out. I want to go buy me a new car. I just got my car fixed today. I can't use my business credit card to go get my personal car fixed. Okay. So the same thing. If it's business related, and like you said, I think last year we were talking about Cash App, and I told you don't use Cash App for your business because they don't send 1099K. Now the IRS is making Cash App, some of these other Venmo, whatever, they're going to have to start sending 1099Ks to people. So if they send you a 1099K, even if it's personal, then you're going to have to report that money on your income tax because that company, Cash App or whoever, is turning that in to the IRS. It's just like a W-2. You're going to get your W-2, and what's on that W-2, that business, that school district or whatever is sending that same copy to the IRS. So even if you don't file your taxes and you get a bill that say you owe $5,000, and you're like, why? Why do I owe $5,000? It's because that company has sent in that W-2. Or in this case, Cash App is sending the IRS a copy of that 1099K, just like they sent you.
Okay. So real quick before, because we kind of just jumped into the conversation. First and foremost, we're talking about PayPal. We're talking about Cash App. Will they send that form for us for this filing year?
That I don't know, because I don't know for sure when the IRS, it might be for 2022. I don't know.
All right. So then what I'm going to say is that you need to make sure that number one, you have the right conversations with the right people and personnel and using your accounts in the right way for 2022. Because if not, especially now that you know that Cash App is going to almost everybody with what form is it?
The 1099K.
The 1099.
Now keep in mind, just like how PayPal did, you have a PayPal personal and you have PayPal business. So what I'm assuming is going to happen is you're going to have a Cash App personal and a Cash App business.
Okay.
And the only people that's going to receive the 1099K is those people who's registered under a business.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, the issue that comes in is that everybody says, I have this business. I have this t-shirt business. I have this makeup, whatever the business is, and you're using Cash App. So the
Right.
IRS doesn't, you can't, there's no record of how much money you made
Yep.
or didn't make. That's the issue.
Doing hair or different things like that and just
And
cash
staying,
at me.
and getting paid by
Okay.
cash.
Okay.
Yeah. And it did say starting in 2022, mobile payment apps like Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, Zelle are required to report business transactions totaling more than $600 per year to the IRS. And so literally, like Rob was saying, there probably will be that distinction of personal business. But then I also remember IRS, they get the data points. And if you're showing a lot of income, it's not like you say, Rob said, $300 1 month, and that's all it was, or $20, but you consistently are getting, whatever that price is that you serve, and those things can still be reported. So,
and on that, like Zelle, right now, when you do Zelle, it asks you, is it personal or is it business? Okay, so they're don't put anything, and it's optional. But I'm sure it's going to start. You're going to have to fill that in. You're going to fill that in.
Well, I want to go and kind of start back at the first part of this conversation. And while we talked about the PayPal, what things when you're overseas must you be cautious of or pay attention to when it comes to filing your U.S. taxes?
Okay, so we're talking about personal, just all
Let's
personal.
talk personal. Let's talk personal.
All personal. I mean, you just have to, whatever's reported to the IRS. So you have people who leave the U.S. in the middle of the year. They've worked for 5, 6 months, 3 months, whatever. They're getting a 1099, or they get a 1099 or a W-2. You have to keep in mind, even if you say, I'm not filing my taxes no more, okay, that money, that report has already been reported to the IRS. Come January 31st, everyone should have their 1099s NEC, and or their W-2. And when that's turned over to the IRS, or when you receive it, like I said, the copy is supposed to go to the IRS too. Okay, so the IRS has that on record that that Robert made $25,000. Well, Robert had never paid his taxes. Well, Robert made that money in 2011. I went to Abu Dhabi. I made $25,000 in the States, half the year. I never filed. Okay. Not only did I didn't file, and the IRS knows I made $25,000, the IRS is saying that I owe $2,500 in taxes, and I'm just using 10%. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I've owed $2,500 since 2011. So let's just say, 2011 tax year, which would be 2012, right? So every year is that's interest. Interest is going on it. Is going on it. Then I filed for my stimulus. You know what? I've been over the country. I'm gonna go online to the IRS page. I don't have no income. I want my stimulus money, and they're like, nah, you get zero, because you haven't filed those taxes to say, yes, I paid taxes. And although the IRS has a copy of that W-2, and it shows how much you made, it shows how much you paid in taxes, federal taxes to the IRS, they don't care. I made $25,000. That's all they're looking at. You owe us $25,000. Although I paid $3,000 on that W-2, they don't care. You haven't filed. Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's still, that's why it's some stimulus money, or it was short, because when they left the U.S., they never filed when they left.
Okay. Now, one of the things that I did hear, and I want to make sure that we get this taken care of correctly, is that you have to be in the US for a certain amount of time, or you have to claim a certain type of thing? Like for people who travel back and forth, do you have to be cautious about the days that you spend on US soil versus expat soil?
Yes. So if you have a visa, a work visa, and you so the first year is the tricky year, okay? Because you're going to file as so you have bona fide resident, and you have I can't think of the name right now. It's two options. So that first year, if you're not in there 365 days of the year, or you're out of the country, then it's physical something. So they take the days. You have to be like 330 days outside of the country, or you're going to pay taxes on that 31st day. You know, and that's still kind of tricky, because if you're not in the U.S. making money,
Mhm.
you just put zero when you're, on the thing that the days you were in the States, did you have income? Were you there on business, or was it vacation?
Okay, so that's your technical. Let's slow that piece down for a second. It's basically the question of the days that you were in the US, did you incur an income?
Yes.
That's
So
what
that
counts.
first year,
Mhm.
I go to Abu Dhabi in August.
Mhm.
I worked in the US January through July,
Mhm.
right? Then when I filed my taxes, I got to file the money I made in Abu Dhabi, and I got to file the money that I made in the US.
Okay.
Okay. So now you're not going to be in there that full year. But then when I come around again in August the following year, I can file as a bona fide resident, because I've been there a year.
Right. Okay. Now, one of the things that I noticed that happened that was very new out here is before, when I ever had to open a bank account, it was just opening a bank account. Now they're asking you to fill out a I think,
FBAR.
yes. And so do you know about that, and what does that really mean, and how do we have to progress forward?
Yes. So for the FBAR, I'll say this first, has nothing to do with your taxes.
Okay.
Okay. Has nothing to do with the IRS. That's with the Treasury Department, the
It
FBAR,
is. Yes.
the Treasury
Okay.
Department, because that's for fraud. That's for money laundering. That's saying, okay, if you're making this money, are you sending it to a terror cell, whatever? That's what the FBAR has to do.
Mm-hmm.
It has nothing to do with your taxes, but you do have to file it.
Okay.
And we do that also. We do
Okay.
FBAR filing.
Okay. So now we talked about it. Moving abroad, you do have to be very cautious about the first year, about how many days you spent in the States versus where you are a new resident, and making sure your information's done. You do have to be cautious about making sure you file. Even if you have not been to the States, it is your responsibility to file and make sure that that piece is done. We talked a little bit about the FBAR, and we also talked about the new regulation when it talks about using, I'm going to say um, what I was going to say, transaction sites, your PayPal.
Electronic.
Yeah, electronic sites. Those are the big things. What else, as being an expat or just moving, or if I wanted to move, do I need to be cautious about, especially with this filing year coming up?
Earn the tax credit, the child tax credit,
Okay.
the advances. So first of all, to receive those credits, the child tax credit is the big one. Everybody wants to claim their kids,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you don't have earned income means money that you pay taxes on,
Mm-hmm.
basically, or money that you're going to pay taxes on from a 1099
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. If you don't have earned income, you don't qualify for those credits. And that's where a lot of foreign people, expats, not foreign people, because we're all American, expats get that mixed up because they think, okay, well, I have 2 kids. Why am I not getting the child tax credit? It's because you don't have earned income. Basically, you making money in a
U.S.
foreign
earned
country,
income. Yeah, U.S.
US
Okay.
earned income.
Okay.
You're making foreign money that the US is not taking any taxes off of up to a certain amount.
Mhm.
So no, we're not going to give you, IRS is not going to give you any credits on that
Mhm.
because we're not benefiting from it. The government is not benefiting from that $100,000 you made in Rwanda.
Okay.
Okay. So earned income, people need to understand that you're not making earned income. You don't work for a US company. Unless you work for a US company out of the US, you're still going to receive a W-2. So
Okay.
that's earned.
Okay. All right. So I want to pause here. We've had. Go ahead.
And one
Sorry.
more
Mhm.
thing. So some people receive the advances on that child tax credit
Mhm.
that live out of the country
Mhm.
that don't have any earned income.
Mhm.
You're going to have to pay the money back.
Okay.
You're going to have to
Period.
pay the money back. Period. Whenever you file taxes and you think you're getting a refund, you're not going to get it until you pay that money back.
Okay. Now, before I go on to anything else, I wanted to ask, are there any questions from anybody already here? Yes, Miss Colette. Now, number one, this is recorded. So I'm about to let you talk and everything. Don't get mad later and say, I didn't know it was recorded. My hair wasn't done. So I'm just giving you that heads up now. What's your question? You're muted.
Thank
There we
you.
go.
I got it. Thank you. I'm sorry. Thank you. My question is about retirement income. Does retirement income work the same way as the person who's working for a job? In other words, I have a pension and I plan to move to Rwanda in probably like June of this year. And so my retirement income is a pension. It's not Social Security yet, but just a straight pension. Does that work the same way?
Are you paying taxes on it?
I'm not having anything deducted right now. Oh, okay. So I see your head. So I should be paying taxes on it. That's what I'm getting. I'm quick. Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. Okay.
And I think, and Tony, you can help me out on this, but if you're not 65, you're gonna have to pay a penalty. Are you paying a penalty?
Why would I have to pay a penalty?
This is a pension. This is pension.
Yeah, it depends on how the pension is set up. And I'll say this, I am a recently retired employee of the state of Texas. And yes, so it is income. And you usually will pay, like you say, some have taxes taken out of it. Because if you don't, at the end of the year, the government's going to come back and say it's still income. And you end up having a big tax bill. And you don't want it to be what they think is so large that now you're having to pay. Well, you want to take your taxes down. Just look at it that way.
And it's always good to have at least 10%. I tell people take 10% out.
Okay.
Have 10% taken out automatically.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yaya Bay, I see that your hand is raised.
Yaya Bay.
Okay.
Nice to meet you.
You have a question.
Yes. If you're receiving a payment through a lawsuit, and my first question is, should you file tax on that payment before you come to the continent, or does it matter? And B, when you get to the continent, if you're to move that money into a bank on the continent, is there still a tax fee that goes with that?
I didn't quite hear everything.
Yeah, you're kind of low. I'm going to see if I can paraphrase that a little bit better. He was asking the question of if you were receiving a major lump sum, in this case, let's say it came from a lawsuit, And he was worried about, I think, the tax implications when it comes to filing those, doing that. And one, should you do it before you try to move overseas, or should you go ahead and be able to wait? And then the second part of that question is, was there an implication or something if you turn around and transfer that money to an off-seas account, one in the continent? Is there going to be taxes on that? I think I kind of murkied that one up a little.
So you're going to pay, well, depending on how you're receiving the money, taxes might already be taken out of.
Okay, so the first thing is to check to see if taxes is taken out of any lump sum first or foremost, and know
Right.
that piece. Okay,
Yeah.
go
And-
ahead. Mhm.
And also know that if it is, it might not be enough to cover it, or you might have paid more. Okay, so that's just you're not gonna find that out until you do your taxes and you put everything in together. If you have other income, whatever it may be. Now, taking your money and moving it offshore, I mean, you can do that. Yeah, you can do that, because technically you're gonna pay. If I got a lump sum of $100,000, I'm gonna have to pay taxes on that $100,000. Whatever is left, I could do whatever I want with it. Put it on the mattress, put it somewhere else, whatever. Yeah.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Because I do have one that might be a little murky, but I'm going to put these boys to the test. So are there any more questions that people have right now? If not, we will open it up again in a little bit. Okay, so here's this murky question. I recently, for me, oh, I'm sorry, I'm Ashir. I'm going to go ahead and go to your question next. I'm bringing you down. Do you want to type your question in the chat, or do you want to be unmuted?
I'm unmuted now.
Okay.
Hi,
Yes.
this is Asar.
Asar, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I got a question and a response to that last guy too.
Okay.
About the lawsuit. The lawsuit all depends on what type of, because I deal with this with my business. So it depends on what type of actually compensation he got. So if he got, his lawsuit is from lost wages or something like that, lost income, then that's taxable. But if it's for injury or something like that, if he got in a, for instance, a car accident and he was injured, they probably call it pain and compensation, stuff like that, then that's not taxable income, because that's because he got injured. Only income that's taxable when it comes to a lawsuit. So if he got lost wages because he was off of work, that's taxable. So it all depends on what he, part of the lawsuit, because they can have both of those actual incomes in his lawsuit. So that's why that portion of his lawsuit, that's for lost wages, that's taxable. Anything for injuries, that's not taxable. But my question is about real estate, because I actually bought a house over here in Rwanda. And so I'm trying to figure out from that perspective, I'm a little murky on that part. I haven't really done any research on that. Are you familiar with real estate overseas? Is that taxable, since that real estate is not in the United States? That was my question.
So you're saying you bought land in Rwanda?
Land house, yeah.
Okay.
I got that, and I'm going to be renting it out as Airbnb. So we'll create income. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out, if that income would be actual taxable, because that also the business is a Rwandan company, it's not a US company.
So who are they going to pay? They're going to pay the Rwanda business.
Yeah, they're going to pay Rwandan business. Of course, I'm going to be paying Rwandan taxes, and the Rwandan taxes, of course, I know some of it could be exempt for whatever taxes I pay here. But since the company is a Rwandan company, I'm trying to figure out, because of course I'm a US citizen, even though I am an owner of the Rwandan company, is that going to be taxable in the United States as far as that portion?
I'm going to go into this one just a little bit, because this is where I feel like some of the stumbling and murkiness is. And Rob, I still want you to answer the question. One of the things that I got hit with is that I'm pulling my documents together to pass off to you. And the Airbnb that I held, I got the payments through my PayPal. which meant to me is like, wow, even though I use the money in the Rwanda, because of that new PayPal rule, I'm going to have to claim it on US taxes. And I think that kind of goes to where we're going towards with this question is, where is this line supposed to be, and how do we make sure that we're not getting double taxed if we're trying to host a business in one country and we're still utilizing US systems in another? Because after I give you that, I give you a little bit more. Go ahead.
Okay, so is it Azar?
Asar.
Azar. Okay, so how are you getting paid from the Airbnb?
It's going to be through PayPal, but my Rwandan company has a Rwandan bank account, and it's going to go to the Rwandan bank account. It's not coming back to the US.
That's the issue. So technically, and I'll just tell you, I'm caught up with it. So technically, PayPal does not recognize Rwanda.
Okay. I mean,
And
it's going
that's
to be through a pay system or something, but I'm not going to have the money come to a US bank. It's all going to go to a Rwandan bank.
Okay, so is it in your name?
No, it's going to be in the whatever PayPal. I mean, I don't know. I know other Airbnbs here. I don't know if it's PayPal or whatever account that they're going to use, but it's going to go to the Rwandan bank account, whichever payment system that PayPal is going to be. Either it might even go, Airbnb might send the money directly to the Rwandan account, but I'm not bringing the money back to the United States. But I am the US citizen who owns this Rwandan company. That's where I want to, make sure that's my murkiness there, what you want to call murky.
I'm gonna say, in your case, if you don't receive a 1099-K in your name in a US, to a US business or to yourself, then you're fine.
Yeah.
But,
The only thing
okay,
I just need to report is I got that bank account because I'm a US citizen with a bank account overseas with the FBAR.
Like I said, Rob, I'm just trying to, for me, I'm just thinking through, and y'all, I'm thinking through the audit piece of it. And I agree in the sense of the company being in Rwanda, the funding staying on that side as well. I think and this is the murkiness of it, is because you are a US citizen and you are receiving income or some additional income. Because I'm trying to parallel the sense of that individual who cuts grass and, it's all cash. And they say, well, I really ain't got to report it. And I mean, and they're doing it here. I take that. You're right. But it's, God, it's like you're making this income and you're trying to shield it, but is it really being shielded because of your citizenship? And that's why I'm kind of struggling with that part.
So I want to go in, and I'm not saying I know it all. I'm going to tell you, I'm dealing with this. I dealt with it, and there's going to be a whole nother meeting afterwards because y'all are going to scream when you see my figures. In regards to Airbnb, the very first issue is that, and I'll just go ahead and be transparent. When I started my Airbnb, I partnered with a Rwandan. I wanted to keep everything on a Rwandan tip. When I partnered with the Rwandan, the only payout that Airbnb allowed to that African country, which is Rwanda, because they allow you to get paid certain different ways based upon your citizenship, based upon whatever card you have. It was a card, and I hate to say, I can't remember the name, but it was like a pink card. I had never heard of this company before. In order for you to receive your payout, it went to this credit card. The reason why we stopped using it is every single time we wanted to pull cash out, there was a $20 charge. And that was not a charge that I ever saw as a US citizen ever doing anything with Airbnb. So we went back into Airbnb and we changed out all the account information, and it went under my US account information, to which I never had a charge for pulling out for Airbnb, but that's when I had to link it to PayPal. So one of the key things that's going to have to happen is you're going to have to find not just the laws of your country, but like what VPN you are going to be on what cards are registered, what things are happening, because that was the technical that happened. Then it gets to what I think I said Anthony, I'm sorry, I'm trying, said it's that when it comes now time for you to be a business and work in entrepreneurship, you are going to have to come up with some hardcore splits of what goes where. And this goes into my question now too, which I know they don't have an answer, because I have a website. Well, the website was purchased through GoDaddy, which goes through a US account, like literally, but the website is used for Rwandan business. And so I realized I've created so many crazy situations that anybody who's coming over needs to be very, very forefront in the beginning with what your business is going to look like and talk through all those entities. And I don't know if this helped out a little bit, but I'm just letting you know, these are things when I go into 22, excuse me. I'm not trying to go back in time. Every single method I'm going to use to, get income, I'm with you. I'm trying to drive it straight through Rwanda, but I have to find out all those entities first because it's crazy. Go ahead.
I'll say this. So you made a good point. You have to know the laws and bylaws and everything of that country. That's what we don't do. We know what you have to do when if you get a 1099 on it, you got to put it on your taxes.
Okay.
If you don't get a 1099 on it,
so I'm supposed to get a 1099 from Airbnb?
You're gonna get something. You're gonna get a K1. You're gonna get a K1 if it's under your name. You're gonna get a K1.
I'm so tired of taxes. I'm gonna let y'all have this conversation.
K1, and it's gonna report how much money you made. You're gonna get that, and then you're gonna have to pay taxes on that. Yeah. So, like in the other gentleman's case, I mean, it seems like everything is set up. It's a Rwandan business. Everything is there. So he's not gonna. I mean, he would have to report it because you're supposed to report your money you make out of the country, but
it's not taxed.
It's not taxed unless it goes over a certain amount. If y'all making over, let's say, $100,000, then you need to watch out, because once you hit that 116, I think it is, depending if you're married or not married, I think it's 116. Anything over $116,000 for a single person, you got to pay taxes on it. Yeah, so whatever they do now, if you pay taxes, what I want to say, if you have to pay out taxes and stuff in Rwanda, there is a place where you can put it on that tax return. Now, depending on other factors, are you going to see some of that money? Are you going to get some of that money back? More than likely, no, you're not. Yeah, because you have, and the reason why I know that is I have clients that have taught in China and they have to pay taxes and all that. And we put it on there, but they're not getting that money back. You're not going to see that in a refund. It might help you somewhere else, but you're not going to see it in a refund.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would say if you can keep it all in Rwanda, everything in Rwanda, I would say that's going to probably be your better option. In your case, if it's coming on, if you put it out to your PayPal and that PayPal is linked to a US bank, you're going to get a K1. You're going to get a K1.
Okay. All right. So Yaya's asking another question just to make sure. And he's stating, so we are clear, if you are a US citizen and you make money in a foreign country, you must file taxes with the IRS. Is there a way that is that supposed to be won't? Okay. Won't have to file with the IRS.
The IRS says you are supposed to file.
Okay.
regardless.
Now let me see if this part is clear. So there's a difference between, and I got to get this right. There's a difference between filing and owing on taxes that you make when you're overseas. You don't owe on the money, wrong word. You don't owe on the money you make overseas unless
money
that
is
money is over
But,
116,000.
I think it's, and don't quote me, the ones, I always tell people, if you make over $100,000, you're gonna probably, there's a possibility that you're gonna have to pay taxes on the overage of whatever that number is.
The
And
overage. So
the
not
overage.
the whole thing. Okay.
Yes.
Mhm.
So if this is, say, for instance, and I don't have the exact number, what it is, but I think last year was 100. I want to say either 113 or 116 for someone filing single. Okay. So let's just take $115,000. Okay. We'll split it down the middle. The law says if you make over $115,000, you have to pay taxes on it, but you're only paying taxes on the overage. So I made $120,000. I got to pay taxes on $5,000,
Mhm.
not the whole 120.
Okay. Now, one technical question, I got this from being text in, and it's saying, and it kind of falls into this. So we do have money coming in from a different entity, but you don't have income coming from the States. Can you file without a W-2, or what does that process look like if you no longer have a W-2? What form is that?
What do you mean a different entity? You have money coming in?
I'm saying like you're getting paid, you're working in Rwanda. So you do have to claim that money, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So you don't get a W-2 or a 1099
Mhm.
because you're working. The key is, you're working for a foreign entity?
Correct.
A foreign entity.
Mhm.
Yes. So when
So you-
we were in Abu Dhabi, we received
There we go.
salary statements. You got salary statements. So normally, if you're working for a foreign entity, they're going to give you a salary statement.
Okay.
Or a contract is going to tell you how much you're making.
Mhm.
That's what you provide. That's what I'm going to ask for. I
What
need
the
to know how
person
much-
is asking for is, what is that technical file? Do you know the name of the file? Since it's not a W-2, it's not a 1099.
I'm not understanding the technical file.
Okay.
It's a salary statement. If I work for a foreign entity, if I work for Addict,
Yeah.
whoever you're working for,
Mhm.
whoever you work for right now,
Mhm.
okay, if you're working for someone, a foreign entity, they're going to give you a salary statement,
Mhm.
or it's going to be in your contract,
Mhm.
how much you made.
Yep.
That's what I need to say, this is how much Jessica made.
Okay. So basically, if I'm working with you, you will take care of all that stuff. I'm just showing you the paperwork of what my income is on foreign ground.
Yes, I'm going to ask for
Okay.
certain documents. I'm going to ask for a salary statement or your contract.
Okay.
I'm going to need addresses, phone, all that. Yeah.
Okay.
Because IRS understands that foreign countries aren't going to give you a W-2 or a
Mhm.
1099. They know that. You just got to be able to say, if you say I made $100,000, show me the salary statement. Show me
Got it.
show me
Contract, just a
something that
proof.
says that's what you meant. Yeah, proof.
Okay. Colette, you have a question.
Hi, thank you. My question is, I had a personal coaching business where I coached women, life coaching and career coaching, and I put it on hiatus for a while because I'm in school. I graduate, but I started back my coaching business at the end of December. I plan to continue that coaching business. I retired from the state, but I plan to continue the coaching business even when I come to Rwanda. So the question I have for you is, I'm able to write off like one of the rooms in my house. I had an office, but now I have 4 bedrooms. So one of the rooms is my office. Will I be able to have those same types of write-offs when I'm in Rwanda? Like if I have a 3-bedroom apartment and I dedicate one of them to just the office, like I'm doing at home, are you still able to do like the long form and all of that?
So
for over there?
You have a U.S. business, DBA,
Yes.
LLC. What is the formation?
It's just solo entrepreneur. You know, I report on my taxes, how much I charge for coaching, all of that.
Okay, but it's so is it a formation? Do you have a DBA for it, or you just
No, I don't.
It's
I
just
haven't
open.
I haven't yeah, I haven't done any of that because I had put it on hiatus and I plan to make it more formalized this year. But I have been, you know, charging, and I have been reporting that to the IRS for years. Like when
Okay.
I do my seminars and workshops and subcontracting, I reported it all.
So I'm gonna say this. So while you're in the States, yes, you can do that because your business is your home. You're using your home as your business, your US home. Okay.
Yes.
When you go to, if you move to Rwanda, your business, you're gonna have to put an address on there.
Right.
And you don't have any formations. You don't have a DBA, you don't have anything. So when you put that Rwanda address on there, no, you're not gonna be able to claim it.
Okay.
And even if you have, you know, your business formation or whatever, that's actually, Tony and I were talking about this because I knew this was going to come up. Questions like this is going to come up.
Yeah.
And I was telling them, I have a business here. You know,
Mhm.
we have one in here and one in Austin, San Antonio and Austin. Okay. If I decide to go go to the UAE, and I keep my business in San Antonio, and Tony's running one in Austin. If I keep this business, I can still write off the expenses here in my office here.
Okay. Mhm.
I can't write off if I'm on the internet doing business, whatever, when I'm in Abu Dhabi. Okay, because I'm writing off the expenses here in my office.
So I guess the question then I would have, and maybe I might have to consult with you or what have you, because I will be formalizing everything probably within the next 3 months. Do you think it would be more advantageous for my address to remain in America? Like I said, I had an actual office that I was paying rent on, but I, you know, moved everything to the home when pandemic happened, couldn't do in-person stuff. So do you think it would be more advantageous to keep an address here tax-wise? My clients won't care. Or do you understand what I'm saying? Because I have a lot
You
of
have to look at it.
write-offs that I'm able to use here.
You're able to write them off now, but you're saying
I'm able to write them off now.
Rwanda, when you go to Rwanda or wherever, that's going to be it depends on what those expenses are. Just say it like
Okay.
Can I go in because this is like because we talked about this like when I was teaching.
Your business. So how can I say this? So your business, or how can I say? That's a choice where you live. Okay.
Mhm.
That's a choice. Okay. Wherever you live, that's your choice. Now, your business is run in the US because it's a US business. I can still run my business from anywhere in the world. Okay. But I have a US business. So my US business occurs expenses wherever it is stationary in the US. Not just because I decided to go back to the UAE and I'd say, okay, well, I need to fly home because I need to take care of some business that's related to Panther Financial Services. And now I want to write off my plane ticket. No.
All right. So let me get technical. I'm going to get real technical. We're just going to put my information out there. So in that case, I do have a DBA for the States. And it was advised to me to turn around and get one account that was a US account. And when I got that US account, it was with the idea. One of the things I do is I teach. I teach in the US, but I'm in Rwanda. And one of the things that I started to do is anything that I purchased that dealt with teaching, I used the DBA. So even though I was not the DBA, the account under the DBA. So even though I'm in Rwanda, I made sure that I always drove everything underneath that DBA if it had to deal with teaching. If I used my own Rwandan credit card to purchase something for teaching, would that be something I could write off, or that's where the red flags and the murkiness starts happening?
Yes, it's a
Right.
lot of
And I have it, and I have a business account. Yeah, I have a business checking account that I deal only with my business through.
Okay, so yeah, so it's a lot. That's a lot. Number
Mhm.
one, if you set up your business, okay, if a person sets up their business to be online,
Mm-hmm.
that's totally different. Okay, because it's online, there's expenses you can go with. If you set up your business to be a consultant, if you set up your business to be insurance, whatever, okay? So you have to look at it in that aspect. If you know your consultant business is going to be online, then there's certain things certain expenses that you can associate with that. Okay. It's all about what your business is and what fits in that bubble for expenses for that business type. Okay.
So can we make an appointment with you afterwards? Because my business will be, what it is prior to the pandemic and prior to me putting everything on hold, I did webinars. I mean, not web, I did in-person seminars, workshops. I'm in the process of putting all that online. All of it is going to be online. The only thing that may not be online is if somebody says, I want to talk to you personally, I really don't want to do one-on-one coaching. So that's going to be super high. I just really want to do you know what I'm saying? Everything online, because the classes are all created, everything. I just need to convert them to online. And I guess I should have asked my question that way, as opposed to how I asked it. Yeah.
Well, I think one thing I want to turn around and say too is that if I had to give anyone advice, and if you're still stateside, please talk to someone before you move regarding taxes and all this stuff, so you can be set up and you can already be working within the correct avenues. It is horrific to be on this side and trying to make sure that everything's lined up properly, because I'm not getting snatched up and going back. I'm telling you that right now. I'm not getting snatched up. But anybody who has the opportunity, or even if you just moved and you're new, get with somebody who does taxes so they can help you. And I honestly would say too, you're probably going to need to have a tax representative in the States, and you're going to need to have one in Rwanda if you decide to incorporate a business or not, just so you can ask the proper questions. Because of all the things that tie people up, finances is the biggest one. And we don't need to be in that situation. Now, that's just my own personal opinion and advice. And with you asking these questions, the best thing you're doing is saying, let me get somebody to set this up before I move in July. Like, let me talk to somebody come May or June, so we set up and do those avenues. I'm about to put that information. Rob, and anything you guys want to say?
Yeah, so these Zoom meetings are really good. But a lot of it is just what we're here to do is just give general information, more so for personal people moving overseas as expats. But when you bring into the mix, you're going overseas to work as an expat, plus you want to open a business, or you want to have a business back here in the States. Those things are a little more complicated, and with the time frame and what we're trying to accomplish here, it's not enough time to do that. And those are more of a one-on-one, because everybody's situation is going to be different. I know Jessica's situation a little better, Because
Government name. We're gonna talk about that later.
oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
You saw I was kind of hesitant at first.
Right, you was, and you were smart to be hesitant. You should be just,
Yeah.
I would have been okay. All right.
But yeah, so we do her taxes, we help her set up her business, we know her situation. So to talk to
Unfortunately,
her,
yeah, they know it's bad.
her-
It's going to be
to
bad.
talk
I'm
to
letting
her
you
about
know.
her situation is a little easier, because we have that history together.
Mhm.
So yeah, so if you reach out, make an appointment, yeah, we can get more in detail for what's really going on.
And I would say that piece too. I do think that no matter what, even where you are or whoever, find somebody you can have a relationship with, because the person who knows your yearly whatever, whatnot, knows that. And then I can say one thing that's really shout outable about Rob is like 1 or 2 times he just happens to catch a live and he'd be like, hey, time out, you're doing what, like, or such and such, or like, like, so he knows enough about me that when I file something, he's going to be like, didn't you say you were doing, like, didn't you start a farm or something, like, and I'm like, oh yeah, and did you purchase these seeds? I purchased these books on Amazon, like those little bitty things, because they know you, they know your relationship, they know what you're trying to build. They know, and they can keep track of those things, and he can growl at you in the middle of the night when you send a random text message that makes no sense because you're scared about being taxed on something. But definitely build that relationship. In the chat, and for those on Zoom, it's going to be posted underneath is the contact information for Panther Financial Services. They have a WhatsApp, they have their office numbers and everything else like that. I did want to kind of go into, because we're in an hour, was there any other additional questions? Because there's a couple little spaces I wanted to try to hit on right before we go. And I've heard rumors of, nobody I know of, people who maybe deplete out their 401k or different things in order to make the move to the continent. Is there, I saw both of y'all's eyebrows raised, so please tell me what did you have to say, or any concerns that you have to know about that before people do that depletions.
You have to pay taxes. You take that money out, you don't have to pay. That's our calendar link also.
Okay.
We can go directly there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you taking that money out early, you're gonna pay. You're gonna get taxed on it. You're gonna get taxed about 20%, I think.
And I think you also get the 10% penalty, which is almost, like you say, 30% of that money. And if you don't need to take that money, don't take that money out. Like you say, because that's 30%, and it's coming off the top. No, I mean, when you hit it,
30 or 20.
No, it's usually, I mean, if you're not 59 and a half or whatever the other part is, it's the 10% penalty.
Yeah, 10%.
So you're gonna pay the penalty too.
Right.
So be careful if you want to, if you just say you have to use it. There may be some other, and again, as Rob said it, I mean, each situation is different now. And I just throw this out here, but it depends. I mean, I know there have been some who use their 401 to start businesses, but it was here. And like you say, the other side of, I mean, and going to another, it just depends on how all those work. So everybody's situation is different. So we would have to sit and just kind of walk through what that would look like.
I think that's like the best. Go ahead, Rob, because I'm like,
I would say, people who pulled out their money last year, they got lucky if they had a 401k, and if they could prove that it was due to COVID. You got 3 years to put it back in there, or you have 3 years to pay that amount. The penalty. You have or I won't even say penalty, because that's the taxes. You have 3 years to pay the taxes, if you would have pulled it out in 2020. But yeah, just yes, there is a lot of people who do that, but they have to realize that You think you're getting 100,000, you might be getting 70,000.
Mhm.
And then there's other factors that play a role too. What you did that year. You know, that's just straight off of that money. You know.
Talking to also, I guess just big purchases. We talk about some people depleting out, or maybe somebody sold their house or anything else. Is there any other places where people need to make sure that whatever they're doing, they're able to move? And I would say this, be able to move with their cash and be cautious about it, like that. They're not going to get a letter from, 2 years later that you owe on such and such and such and such because you didn't do it. How do you make sure that your steps are clear? And also, don't let me forget, there's a new way to log into the IRS. Let's talk about that before we leave because it's stressing me out. But go ahead.
How you know that?
Because I follow Georgia rules.
All right. Yeah. So I always try to tell people, if you're going overseas, you need to open up an IRS account on an IRS page. They're going to ask you a whole bunch of information. It's best to do it while you're in the States because you're going to need a cell phone. Track doesn't count as a cell phone. All those, because they won't.
Google Voice. That's my issue
work.
now. That's Google. That's my issue now.
It needs to be T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon, Sprint, one of those, something that's a paid service.
So let me go into this because I literally just did this 2 days ago, and I'm going to be honest with you, it still has not worked. And what's happened now is that I think everybody has a natural IRS account, correct? Or you have the ability to have,
No, so you have to create it.
Mm-hmm.
Once you create it, then they'll tie your information to what they have.
Okay.
The
thing that's new is they're using a new system now. And so,
just for verification, hold on one second. So when you do that, so when you go on and open it up, if you have an account already, if you went through that whole process already, now you have until the summer to update it to the ID me verification part. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't have an account, it's going to automatically default that you do an ID me verification.
That's what I was talking about. So before, and that's the thing, technically, if you have an IRS login and you've been logging in and tracking your stuff, you are still required to change over to this new system. And by the summer. And it's annoying. It's very, I'm just talking from somebody who was hacked. I can appreciate how many times they're asking me to be me.
Right.
Over and over again with multiple streams of documents and a live video conference. So yeah, it's serious. So make sure, and that's one thing I'm going to say, make sure if you're watching this, go do it now, because I can guarantee you, I can tell you this much for me already. So somebody's going to flag me. Go ahead and flag me. I had to use my VPN. I could not get on outside internet just to start the process. They asked for, different uploads and everything. So I had to have everything there. Everything must match. I have an accent in my natural name. It wasn't on one of those documents. They rejected the document. Your names must match. And if they think it's a little bit blurry, they are going to put you on hold so you can get video verified. I was on hold for 2 hours and 14 minutes. And it's not like you can pause and call back. It's just saying, no, somebody will be with you. You literally just have to sit there. So get you a Saturday or Sunday, or whatever, or a day that you can do it, but get it done, because they are not playing around.
Yeah, and you mentioned the VPN. When you're out of the country, most VPNs will not work when you try to log on to the IRS page.
Then
so if yours work, it
worked for the IRS login. It did not work for the telephone call verification.
Okay, right. Yeah, so yeah, nothing, unless you have to have a US cell phone
Yep.
carrier, AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile, Verizon account for that text message to come through. And they will send you that text message.
Over and
you will
over
have to
again.
do it. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's hard. So if you're not in the States, I tell people you need to ask somebody if you could use their number so you can receive that text message. I'm not sure now if you can have more than one number tied to an account. I don't
They
know,
didn't say
before you
either.
couldn't.
No.
Before you
Yeah.
couldn't. So I don't know now.
Yeah, I don't remember 2 numbers.
Yeah.
I
So
think it was just,
yeah. So if you can find somebody who's not, if they child have a cell phone number and they 10 years old, you know, they ain't filing no taxes, then get there something. But you're gonna need a carrier number. And I like Yaya, I thought that was someone else that we were dealing with now. And they just went out and had their brother buy a track phone. He said, man, my brother just went out and bought me a track phone and it's still not working. Yeah, not gonna work. Not gonna work. It's a burner phone. That's what they're gonna consider it as. And even those mobile Google Voice and all those, it's not going to work.
Okay. Are there additional questions? Because if not, we can come and go with life assistance. This is last day, whatever. It's 10:00 p.m. Y'all get the words together. But are there any additional questions? I really want to make sure that everybody here has their needs met. Talking about taxes is a very serious yet boring thing. We appreciate these wonderful gentlemen for dedicating their lives and time to it. But we do have to make sure that we're filing and answering all of our questions so we can be represented properly
I got
and
one more
get our
question.
decisions. All right, where's the question coming from? I'm looking.
One more question.
Yes, let's
I
go.
got one more. I do have a question about, do you think it would be better for me to get a tax advisor in California versus Texas? You know, our laws are crazy here. But could you still help? I know you said you were in Texas.
Yes, we can help. And I try to tell people, we deal with all 50 states.
Okay.
Know all 50 states rules inside out? No, but we can find out. But we work with all states. Our main thing is federal, but we do state taxes as well. I do have a couple of clients that are in California, and yes, you are 100% right. Y'all rules are about as bad as New York. So yeah, I kind of know a little bit more about Georgia. There are a lot of clients in Georgia that live overseas, but yeah, we will find your answers for you.
So also for those who have watched, I just did a video regarding setting up mailbox services and forwarding. And one of the things that kind of popped on the screen and I didn't dive into, so I'm not sure, is that when you used a mail forwarding system, and the way that works is you get a US address. So if you were trying to get Amazon or people are trying to mail you letters or anything else like that, they would then mail it to that address, not necessarily your home address. You're able to, at this point in time, scan and tell them to scan and look at your information and all that other stuff. And then they can shred what's not needed, or they can forward you, or just you could print out, but they can forward you the mail. One of the things that I did not recognize is how important it was to pick an address in a state that were recognized, because if you're getting things, and what they did turn around and put in parentheses, oh, this state has taxes, this state does not have taxes. And what I didn't recognize is even just something as simple as the mail forwarding system has an implication on the back end. So if you're doing your DBA or you're having questions, those are things that are important questions on, well, or even if I move, do I want to keep it housed in California or do I want to move it? And I only know that because we had a major conversation regarding Oklahoma versus Texas. And I had to sit down and look at that for a very long time before I made my final decision. These are
So,
little bitty things. Go ahead.
So I would say, is it Colette? Is that correct? Colette?
Yes.
So just like the young lady just said, I'm not gonna say her name, but really need to look at that because
Yes.
California, I can tell you, you know, you set up an LLC in California, you're gonna come off $600 franchise tax if you don't make no money.
Yes.
That's the minimum you're gonna be paying. So
right, that's been a hesitation. That's one of the hesitations because I always knew I would not be staying here.
right. So yeah, so looking into other states to open up your business, like the great state of Texas. I only say that for right now, I don't mean it. But yes, so Texas is really good for business owners.
Okay.
You know, it's really good. So, you know, we do business formations, we do it all.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, so that's and we do them for other states too. But yeah, and what the presenter is saying about the mail service and stuff, that's registered agent. So you have to have a registered agent for that. And we do serve as registered agents too. And just like she said, anything important that's related to that business that comes in from the state, these are Texas businesses though. We serve as a registered agent. Anything that comes in that's important, we scan, open it, scan, send it to the person. If it's junk, we just throw it away.
Thank you for telling me that because I was thinking about Las Vegas, but I don't know any. I mean, I have relatives in Las Vegas. I don't know any business people in Las Vegas. So just to have a face with somebody in another state, I thought about Texas. But thank you so much for that. And we know your government name, but J Essence, thank you for
J Essence. There we go.
Thank you for doing this for us. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Is there any other questions that we have right now? Please feel free to put in the chat if you just want to put in the chat or if anybody wants to unmute. I'm hoping that I created something that you guys can utilize for you. And then just know Panther Financial Services is available, WhatsApp, email, any type of way in order to make sure that they're answering questions and preparing. Fellas, just real quick, this is a busy time of year for you guys, right? We have a lot of people starting to call and do these things. Are you ready for the influx?
So, so we've made some, yes, to answer your question, yes, we're always ready. We're alpha man, we always ready. We know how to get stuff done. And happy Founders Day to you, Deltas out there.
Yes, thank you.
But, but you know, we have some changes too. Everything is evolving. So we've gone more automated. As you said, you received those emails. So we're making it easier for everyone. The client and for us. So we're just working through those things because it is new. But you know, last year we sent those emails out in December. We're just getting them out now because it is new, just working through some things. But I will say, for the people that are still in the States and you're going to file your taxes this year, the IRS has already said it's going to be chaos. It's going to be another year of chaos. So be patient with the tax preparer because everybody has to wait on somebody. Yeah, so it's going to be another crazy year. You still have over 200 pieces of mail that the IRS has that they haven't sorted through. I had someone say, hey, Robert, you filed my taxes back last year or 2017, and the IRS still doesn't show that they had it. It's because you had to mail it in. Because we couldn't e-file it, you had to mail it in. So they just haven't gotten to it. You have people who had kids that wanted to put them on their tax returns in 2020. In 2020, who filed their taxes where it had to, because they didn't have a social security number because they were overseas and the embassies were closed and those tax returns had to be mailed in. So those people are still waiting on their stimulus money. And yeah, you're one of them. Not with all the kids, but
No, just
you're
I
one
need my
of them.
stimulus check.
We had to mail it in. So yes, you just have to be patient. But they've already said that it's going to be another crazy year for the IRS.
So for those people, how do we try to avoid the chaos, the craziness? What can you do to be proactive?
As in what? Mailing in or waiting?
Electronically file or like do it first come, first serve, like should be filing as soon as you get your W-4. Like, is there anything we can try to do to be proactive, or is it really just just a shot in the dark?
Yes, be proactive. Once you get your documents, yes, send them in. Send in your stuff so we can get them in the system and file. Because what happens is the IRS has certain companies that they allow to e-file. Okay, so some people are like, well, I e-file for free. Well, it's still coming through who's TurboTax? Intuit?
Yeah.
Intuit. So Intuit is able to file those for you. So the IRS has all these companies that they allow to e-file. What they do is, so like the company that we use, that our software is through, we can start e-filing already. Okay, because they use those as test batches. Okay, make sure the system is working. Well, that's good and bad. Because if it's an error in there, your stuff might get thrown in a loop. And you're gonna be calling me, Rob, I filed my taxes on the 15th of January. Now it's June, and I still haven't received my refund. So you just don't know. I try to wait, although I have the stuff in, I just want to be able to hit the button to send them all. Okay, because the IRS officially opens e-file, I think it's on the 24th of this month. Okay, although we can e-file now as those test batches, I don't necessarily like that because if there's an error, it's going to be in the system. So I'd rather wait for till they open officially and hit the button, but have everything done. So you will be in the first batch. Now, and then something else to think about too is, although you e-file tomorrow, you do your taxes, if you're receiving some type of credit, earned income credit, child tax credit, whatever, that money is not going to be released until the middle of February. So those people aren't going to see their returns until the middle of February, regardless.
Okay. All right. Is there any final words you would like to leave with us, because we can start closing this conversation down?
Only I have to say is we put our contact information in the chat. And I did leave off the Facebook page, and I'll go back and put that in. But we'll be glad to help you out. We'll be glad to take you on as a client. We have a motto: you come in as a client, you walk out as family. And that's how we run the business. We're going to give you everything else the big boys give you, but we're going to give you that at a family, as family, not just as a client. So our host is not a client anymore. She's family, and we get down like family.
All day, every day.
That's how we, because family is going to tell you sometimes what you don't want to hear, but you
Child.
need. So that's what we do.
I sincerely thank you for taking out time just to have these conversations. There's always conversations and questions that come up after the fact. And so just being able to sit there and say, your family reach out, no, really helps out a lot. But one thing I do hope that we do is be open enough to have conversations around these finances or even our finances, so we know to be able to go to professional or anybody else for help. And I say that as J Essence. I say that as someone who's really looking at trying to build a life of sustainable freedom, and trying to now have the conversations that can truly attain what I call for me freedom. And so I'm hoping that we all come together and have those conversations with each other so we can help each other through these things that we don't know. I thank you for your time. I honor you in this aspect, and I hope everybody reaches out to talk to you, or at least a tax professional, before trying to make any rash decisions. And I will say at this point in time, thank you for tuning in, and I am going to be hanging up this call, and I appreciate it so much. I am stopping the recording